And we are recording for our first kind of newly revamped Distant from Center. I'm Horton. That guy is,
Trent.
and Trent. I kind of preferred you with the beanie on. What was the beanie? Was that Canadian Open something?
Yep. Canadian Open, last pro event to be hosted in Canada. Shalom
Are they
Park.
coming back this year?
No, not that version. The Junior Canadian Open will be up there after the Junior U.S. Open is down here in Texas.
All right. And so speaking of Texas, you guys have been. It's like 80 degrees, right? You're killing me.
Yeah, we've already been mid 90s. Yeah, it's 85 today. Water's back up to 70. Yeah, it's nice. People are skiing.
Oh, killing me. I see blue sky out my window, but man, it was cold and rainy all weekend. All right, well, let's hit the what the hell's going on. So, I guess as everybody knows, there were some crazy rumors around Malibu. The only thing
Yeah.
we really know is that Dennis Kelly, who ran the program for like, I don't know, 20 or 30 years, got let go. And then I've heard people who are affiliated with Malibu saying, hey, the boat's not going away, don't worry. And I've heard industry people say, they're never making another boat after the model year changes. What do we
Yeah,
make of this whole
I mean Malibu did do an official press release regarding, right? Well, that's not necessarily true, but they did do a kind of an online interview thing, and I guess I mean their stance is that they are pulling out of fiscally supporting water skiing, meaning no more money going into their promo program. I think that includes they're not going to be a USA Water Ski sponsor moving forward either. Right? Have you read that?
well, I I saw that text you're talking about, and frankly, I thought it was a PR guy trying to like cover his bases. Not, I hate to be
Yeah,
difficult. That's the way to
but
put it.
it wasn't painting them in a good light. I mean, no support whatsoever. And with the way I have friends that with the way the Malibu promo program works, uh, that their promo drivers are incentivized in real time, if you will. Meaning, like as the more tournaments they do, the more hours they put in pulling sanctioned events, the more money they will receive off of their next boat. So, in my mind, it leaves people that are already Malibu promo boat owners with zero incentive moving forward if the program no longer exists, right?
So here's why it matters to us, as I see it, is
It really
like
matters.
I'm friends with the guys that are putting on nationals this year down in Bakersfield, and I don't know if they're gonna have Nautiques and Mastercrafts, or if they're gonna have Nautiques, Mastercrafts, and Malibus. And so, every one of those boats that pulls a tournament belongs to somebody. So are they gonna have to divide all the nationals rides by three brands, or are they gonna divide it by two brands? And whose boat is being depreciated by more boat hours? This is, I think it's there's a solution, but there's an impact.
Yeah, certainly, no, for sure. And I think the the scary thing is, once a precedent like that gets set by one of the big three, you'd be afraid that the remaining two might think it looks like a pretty good idea. Let's pull away some of our financial support and see what happens. I think I don't think that's going to happen, because they're both so deeply rooted in tournament water ski tradition, meaning Mastercraft and Nautique. I don't expect them to change their stance, but it is going to require that they step up additionally, in terms of nothing else, just having more boats in the field. If there wasn't a lot of Malibu promo boats around the country, but that's still some numbers that Mastercraft and Nautique are going to have to step in to fill.
Right. And I think I don't know that it matters on the local level. To me, it's that localized regionals, nationals areas where
Yeah,
they were scrambling to get enough boats anyway,
yeah,
and
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 now
there are certain pockets around the country where Malibu had a bit of a showing and a bit of a presence in terms of pulling tournaments. It just depends where you live. I know South Central region, they had some amazing, you know, um, representation that really did a great job on Malibu's behalf. So there'll be pockets of our region that are going to feel, the burden of trying to find other boats. But
Do you see a future when we're leaning more and more on older boats, when we're getting away from the new boat paradigm in tournaments?
um, no, I don't. I think, I'm already seeing more and more private boats being used, but in this region, I've always seen that. Um, but I mean, look, being involved in the promo side of things for Mastercraft, I've got first-hand account. I mean, the representation through the promo program drives sales, and it's inarguable. So, if we see a little lull, in sales in the next year or so, then there's going to be an extra focus put back on the promo programs. The programs work. There's a reason they haven't always been perfect, but there's a reason why they've existed for as long as they've existed. And representation at tournaments drives sales from the people that want to train behind the boats they're going to ski behind in tournaments. So, I think it's an ugly precedent that's being set. It stinks. It's bad for the sport, but I don't expect this to all of a sudden reflect itself in a full scale pullback from the remaining two brands.
No, I don't think so either. But as much as Malibu says this isn't the truth, I kind of expect that boat is just going to stop being built.
But I mean, whoever that was that did that, published that interview on that online water ski website, or however you want to describe it. I mean, that was their stance. We were pulling out, right?
Right.
That's essentially how it read. We're still here. We're making boats, great, but we're no longer going to support the promo program, which there's that's not really sugarcoating it. It sounds like they're out for the time being, or whether it's permanent. It's hard to know, I suppose. But
all right, so on to more the happier news. So next week is Moomba. You skied Moomba a couple times, yeah?
Yeah, I would have done 4 or 5.
4 or 5. So how do you explain to people about just the tides and the backwash? And I mean, are the gate balls really doing this when you're getting ready to turn in for your gates? How freaking crazy is that water?
Yeah, well, so the thing to remember is it's a floating course, right? So anyone that's skied on a floating course is going to know that, yes, when the waves hit it, the buoys do move a certain amount. It is interesting because it can range from anywhere between, okay, it's a little bumpy, but this really skis pretty easy, to holy crap, like this is borderline unskiable, knocking on dangerous. So it's interesting. Like, I think it's just where Robin Lake is always going to be Robin Lake. It's always going to be rolly but manageable. Moomba can rear its head on both ends of the spectrum, right? I mean, the course record is like 1 at 43, right?
Right.
And it's been deep 41 for 15 years. So, I mean, it skis well, but it can also be unskiable. And those two ends of the spectrum can check in 20 minutes apart, right?
Right. I went down a rabbit hole and tried to look at the tide schedules as opposed, in relation to the ski schedules. Yeah. And I don't know if it means anything. It looks like the tide they've scheduled men's and women's slalom to happen as the tide's coming in. And I have zero idea what that means. It seems like last year there'd been a bunch of rain and there was a culvert with rainwater coming into the river near one of the balls that was causing some additional turbulence in the water. And it's just crapshoot, right?
Yeah, but it's we've had this conversation, or we've entertained other people having this conversation as it pertains to Masters and whether it should be on that lake. Anyone that skis Moomba um, will tell you that if they had 10 of those a year, they would never go back to a private site again. It's absolutely incredible.
It's for folks at home, I don't think they realize how much bigger the crowd is at Moomba than any other event.
Yeah, and for sure too. And so when you're watching the prelims or some of the juniors, don't pick and choose when you don't see anyone on shore. Like come Sunday and come Monday, it's shoulder to shoulder, standing room only, and it truly is like, for whatever reason, people that haven't been there, they love to try and pick holes on it. Like, it's got nothing to do with skiing. They just happen to be at a festival, and that's just not accurate. There's, yes, there is the peripheral crowds that are going to be there, and they're going to be partaking in the spectacle. And then there's the super knowledgeable crowds, fans. It's unbelievable, and because it's been happening in the same place, the same weekend for, I don't even know, I'm going to say 45 years, 40 years, something like that. It's just a weekend that people look forward to. The city of Melbourne, the state of Victoria, they come out in droves for this event. It is absolutely our, it's the high point of professional water skiing now and historically. Nothing's even close.
Right. Not to compare water skiing to NASCAR, but it's the same thing. It's like every year NASCAR starts at Daytona, and that's a huge event. Every year water skiing starts at Moomba, and that's our crazy big event. It's the same potential for disaster and chaos.
And this year's going to be insane
fun.
too. Like, because it's gone through some transitions where, shouldering on COVID, there was fewer people there, and the field has been shallow some years, deep for other years. But the cool thing about Moomba is, even when it's a shallow field, no one cares, right? There's people that do Moomba, there's people that don't do Moomba. You look at DeGasperi and Freddie Winter and I think Nate, his name was on the list. I think he maybe isn't going to be able to make it due to a different conflict. But anyway, I guess the point is there's going to be some of the the Joel Howleys, some of the local guys that have every shot of taking that title. It's going to be exciting, always.
Right. So Nate is on the list that is published by the Moomba website, which I think is probably their hope list. And
well, that'll be the list of people that had declared it, intent.
Right, but the IWWF starting list does not have Nate on there, so I don't know what I've got is your top seats.
Yeah, no, I seen him last week, and there was a potential work conflict that just wasn't going to allow him to go. I think there was still outside maybe, but
the list I have for the top couple of skiers is Fred, T-Gas, Corey, Joel, and then fourth from the top is Charlie Ross. So, and I was talking to Fred yesterday, and he's like, feels like he's skiing well, but he's like, Howley's been skiing all year, right? This is like the end of their season. So he's kind of like,
yeah, no, for sure. And then you'll put Nick Adams in there too, who's like, if you haven't been paying attention, you'd be like, well, I'm not even sure Nick even skis anymore. He ran 3 at 41 last weekend at a record in Australia, so, and then I think the interesting thing to think or keep in mind about Charlie is I believe he'll still be skiing as a junior there also, right?
Correct.
So think of this then, by the time Charlie gets to the prelims, by the time Charlie gets to the opening round, he'll already have had two rounds of tournament skiing on that river, right? So by the time he gets to the prelims, he's not figuring it out. It's his fourth ride. It's a cool thing about junior Moomba. Everyone skis twice, regardless. And unlike some tournaments, you can ski junior and pro if you're qualified for both, which I think is great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Charlie's amazing. And then I think that everybody needs to remember when adverse conditions happen, Mr. Consistency, DeGaspery, to me, is the wild card in the event. It's like he
Sure.
just, I think, he's always there. And when conditions are funky, I think he's the man.
Yes.
Um, and then the ladies, I think the ladies is actually probably as are more interesting. Regina rarely goes down, and it's a Regina and Whitney. Like I don't know if this is fair, but I give Regina the edge when the conditions are perfect, and I'm inclined to give Whitney the edge when the conditions are a little bit more adversary. And I
I
don't know
don't
if anybody
know.
agrees with
Yeah,
that.
I don't. I wouldn't categorically say that. I give them both the edge when either one of them is there. And this is going to be exciting because I don't believe Regina's been there since she was a junior. I mean, it's been a long, long time. So, I I don't recall Regina having been at Moomba when it was the Regina Whitney show. So Whitney's going in as 8 or 9 time champion, um, and Regina's never won it. So that you're right. As excited as we all are to watch men's jump and men's slalom, this if there's one event that I won't miss, it's definitely going to be women's slalom at this Moomba.
Right, it's gonna be super fun. I think I think those are really the highlights, the headlines on Moon. But yeah, I mean, women's slalom's going to be huge. Men's jump, we kind of expect Dodd to crush, right?
Yeah, cool though.
Presumably,
Jack Critchley this year,
right? Right.
which I would guess it'd be his first Moomba, really. Um, and then I gave on the women's side, I'm sure Regina's jumping, and Jacinta Carroll's on the list also, and I'm not sure.
She's on the list, but she had a baby 3 months ago. Um,
Yeah,
I've never personally birthed a child, and the birth of my child was really not a big deal for me, but I think it's actually a big deal. I mean,
you handled
I
it
don't,
well, did you?
I handle it well. I didn't gain a pound. I think the assumption is Jacinta's not going to be on the starting dock unless she thinks she can dominate. Do you think that's fair? If she's not ready,
uh,
she's not going to be there.
well, I don't think it would come from a place of trying to preserve a win streak or anything. I think it would just be more, can I safely do this or not?
Fair enough.
That would be, because I mean, a lot of things, obviously having only experienced it on the periphery, there are a lot of things go on just in terms of, your body just robbing itself of nutrients in terms of, ligament health and all that sort of thing. So, but as learned it as she is in this exact field, if if she jumps, it's because she knows that she's 100% capable. And again, it won't because she's afraid of losing that streak. I know that. I don't think. I'm sure she doesn't even think that would be a possibility if she's able to put her skis on you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I do. All right. Well, for folks at home, if you're confused about times, there's a spreadsheet link in the ball spray forum you can check out, because for me, I always find it confusing, so I built a spreadsheet which corrects all the time zones. So you can click on it and you can say, hey, look, it's 2 weeks ago yesterday in Melbourne. Today it's this time, so you can figure out and watch the events you want to watch. I'm
Cool.
actually going to take my little girl out of school early on Wednesday so she can watch prelims of junior tricks, because she's fired up about that.
Nice. Good dad move.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
You got anything else? Anything
That'd be
else
it, man.
cracking?
No, that's it. Just looking forward to watching this tournament.
All right. Well, we'll come back and do this again probably next week after the tournament's over.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Trent.